You're listening to Podketeers.
Welcome to episode 472 of Podketeers. This week, Dan Povenmire, the creator of Phineas and Ferb, Milo, Murphy's Law, Hamster and Gretel, well, he had and created an interesting experience in the parks this last week when an attraction he was on broke down. Oogie Boogie Bash tickets went on sale with some issues as well. We have an update on our special Indiana Jones March Mayhem, some thoughts on the new Indiana Jones walking around in the parks, quick shout out to our pal Jill for posting photos she found online on Discord, ranking the first 4 Indiana Jones films, Mel and Andrew give their spoiler-free thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and our history segment Great Moments with Mr. Andrew continues with 1975 and 1976. We would love for you to join the conversation on our social networks, including Instagram and Facebook, but we invite you to join us on Discord. Joining the community is super simple. Just head on over to podketeers.com/links and click on the Discord button to join the community. A very special thank you goes out to an awesome group of people known as the FGP Squad, our podcast Fairy Godparents, because it's their support via Patreon that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible. As part of the FGP Squad family, you get some additional perks like exclusive discount codes for Podketeers gear, additional content that we've uploaded to Patreon, and access to our happy hour calls, just to name a few. For more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad family, we invite you to check out podketeers.com/FGP. And as always, a super special thank you goes out to the FGP Squad for their continued support. So it's time to get this episode going. If this is your first time hanging out with us, welcome. We hope that you enjoyed the episode and that you come back for more. But if you've been hanging with us for a while now, welcome back, friends. Here is episode 472 of Podketeers. Oh yeah! I have a strange story about that.
About what? The Macho Man himself?
About
Randy
the cream of the crop.
Macho Man Savage?
Yeah,
about
so remember
Bonesaw McGraw from the Spider-Man?
Yes, exactly. So, I don't remember how many episodes ago it was, but we did have a conversation about this Randy Macho Man Savage video that made the rounds for a really long time. It was the Macho Man talking about the cream of the crop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, with my headache, I just did the Macho Man impression, and my headache felt like it resonated through my skull when I did that.
Don't do that.
That was the weirdest thing ever.
Okay, leave the Macho Man impressions to me then.
Yeah.
But it's so fun. So we had this conversation about this video about the cream of the crop, and it was funny because every time he said it, the Macho Man would pull out these little creamers, right? And he would toss them at Mean Gene Okerlund. This was probably in the 80s, 90s. I can't remember what show it was on, but in the last couple of weeks, it was either on Monday Night Raw or on one of, they don't call them pay-per-views anymore. They call them something live events or something like that. I forgot what they are.
The event
they call
horizon.
them PLEs. Paid
live.
It doesn't matter. But yeah, yes, it doesn't matter. The point is they're on Peacock now, and so now they're just part of the subscription. But it was either on one of the special shows on Peacock or on Monday Night Raw where one of the announcers started saying, yeah, the cream of the crop rises to the top. And I was like, oh, that is a Macho Man reference. Way to go. And so 15-year-old me was all happy because of this reference that happened. And then current day me was like, I got to tell Andrew.
I've watched almost no wrestling. I just like weird videos like that, and I like Macho Man. I think he's just a fun character to just look at.
Oh, he was.
He was a trip, man.
Yeah,
he was a trip. I have to say that I probably enjoyed the Macho Man more than Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah,
I think just the character was just so much. I mean, even as a performer and as a wrestler, he was just so much better than Hulk Hogan was that I don't remember ever being big on the whole Hulkamania thing. I know a ton of people that were. When I was younger, I remember liking the Macho Man, but then I remember really getting into Bret the Hitman Hart. Like like he was way more serious. He wasn't as flashy, but he was just like such a great technical wrestler that it was fun to watch his matches. So it was Bret Hart, and then for a while I really enjoyed watching Shawn Michaels matches, and then I became a Triple H fan. And even when the whole like Rock and Stone Cold era was happening, I liked Stone Cold more than The Rock. Like of Triple H, Stone Cold and The Rock. Yeah, I probably liked The Rock the least, like as a fan. However, he was the one I quoted the most.
Well, he had that.
Yeah, like every week he just had like a one-liner that was just funny, right? So it was a crazy, crazy time. I know people didn't tune in for like Podketeers Wrestling Hour, but I just had to mention...
Andrew didn't tune in for Podketeers Wrestling Hour. I don't know anything. You said Triple H, and I thought we were talking about that thing where you like raise a sheep at school. But I think that's...
No,
I think that's 4-H or whatever.
Probably.
But, that's things you have around here. I don't know if they have it in LA, but they have like 4-H, which is like agriculture class. It's like an extracurricular, and you like raise a pig and then you sell it at an auction or something. It's weird. I don't know.
So,
if you want to, you just like wear overalls and a cowboy hat and to school, and I don't know. Stuff happens.
So if you wanna see something different and crazy, I would look up the Ultimate Warrior. That guy was like wild, flashy, wild, colorful. He was fun.
Yeah,
fun
but
to watch.
what I like is Macho Man Randy Savage's album where he disses Hulk Hogan a bunch.
Oh yeah,
Good album. It's on Spotify if anybody wants to listen to. And by
good, I'm sure Andrew means that it is a thing that exists.
It's good. I mean, there's a good song. There's a song that I listen to frequently. It's called "Be a Man," and he's telling Hulk to be a man, and he mentions Spider-Man in it.
That's funny.
There's like
he was
there's
trying
like
to be a rapper.
Yeah. There's like Macho Man is on it, and then there's just also another guy that does like all the choruses and stuff, and then the Macho Man just kind of talks.
That's insane.
But it's there. I mean, there's some albums that I say are things that exist, like William Shatner's albums. Those are things that exist, but we don't need it. That'll be another deep dive. We can talk about the William Shatner albums or the Bruce Willis albums, or all the other celebrities. Scarlett Johansson, I think, has an album.
She does. Oh no, actually, hers. Wait, is it hers? And oh man, I'm gonna have to look it up. I'll get back to you on this one. But
multiple Avengers have albums.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's Scarlett's where she's in a band and she's actually good.
I'm sure she is. Like,
I mean, she did come out in Jungle Book and sang.
That's true.
Because it's what's his name? Jeremy Renner has a band.
Oh yeah, he's pretty good too.
And I don't know.
I'm looking it up now.
Harrison Ford doesn't have a band. He's going to be in the MCU soon. The Lieutenant Dan band. He's not in the MCU either, but that's a band that exists.
Okay. So she was in a group called The Singles.
And then she got married, so she had to leave the group.
She's got a new band?
Interesting.
It's called the Doubles.
They cover the Doubles. They cover Bizarre Love Triangle by New Order.
Ooh.
Oh, so I don't know if you like have alerts like I do for like new music and stuff like that, but
nope, old music.
You guys
and
know
weird
Billy
music.
Joel's "We Didn't Start the Fire," right?
Yeah.
Iconic song.
I know where you're going
been
with
around
this.
for a long time. Fall Out Boy released a part 2 of that song.
A part 2? Like, wait, they made a part
so
1?
Basically,
well, no, they're just it's
Billy
a sequel
Joel's...
to "We Didn't Start the Fire."
Yeah.
Got it.
So Billy Joel's was like from 1949, I think, from the year he was born until like 1988. And Fall Out Boy released their version of "We Didn't Start the Fire," and it covers 1989 through 2023.
Ooh.
And so I was listening to it the other day, and I was reading the lyrics. It's like Captain Planet, Arab Spring, LA riots, Rodney King, deep fakes, earthquakes, Iceland volcano. And it's like all these things we grew up with. The same chorus. It's got the same beat, the same music. And I was talking to my brother about this. Both of us came to the consensus that we don't know if there's another band that could have pulled off the song the way that they did, because it's so reminiscent of Billy Joel's. Like, it feels like a sequel, but it's good. I really dig it. I think it's a really great way to sum up a lot of what's happened in the last 30, 40, however many years it is. Check it out. It's like all over Spotify and stuff. Well, I was going to play a little piece of it, but you know how I've been uploading all those YouTube videos?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting a ton of copyright strikes. The last one I got was for the Lo-Fi Mini 15-second clip that we played of one of the songs. So I think in the YouTube video, it's just missing. It just got blocked.
They just mute that part.
Yeah, it's
We're
crazy.
going to play the song.
And then
so
there's
tricky
nothing.
with
Just
that.
dead air.
Yeah. So I get it. It's fine. But it's commentary. I wanted to show it, and it's fine. It is what it is. If you want to hear it, you could listen to it in the regular episode of the podcast. But you can go to the episode on the website, and then you can hear it uncut there, because you'll hear the YouTube version that's clipped. But yeah, Fall Out Boy. We Didn't Start the Fire. Check it out.
That reminds me of, there was it must have been, I don't know what year it came out. It was in The Office. There's the episode where Ryan started the fire, right? And then and then they start singing, Ryan started the fire. So somebody on YouTube made a whole The Office version of We Didn't Start the Fire. Like,
Get out.
5-minute song. I have it downloaded somewhere. You can find it on YouTube. I looked up Ryan Started the Fire. This one says unofficial music video, and the person said,
Ooh.
I guess it got taken down. The original creator was somebody named Brad Eder, but has removed it to copyright strike or whatever. But this is a re-upload, and it's very funny. It's like an extended version, 5 minutes and 20 seconds, and it's just all the Office references you could ever want.
I am going to listen
fun.
to it once we are done today.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Podketeers.com/links, all that good stuff. Until next time, I want to hear this song. I'm just ending the episode, so we're just going to... that's cool, man. And, I'm bringing it up not because we're like trying to deviate from Disney stuff. Fall Out Boy is a really big part of Disney. They were a big part of Big Hero 6, and Immortals has been one of the most popular songs, not only for Fall Out Boy, but I think in the Disney catalog because of that film. So,
is Fall Out Boy one of those bands that sound like this, and we're gonna sing and the stuff, and we didn't start the fire? Is it just like that?
Not as nasally.
I'm like
umbrage.
from 2002, and I sing like this.
It's more Blink. You're singing more like... That's more of a Blink 182 song.
Okay.
But Pete Wentz's voice it's higher, but it's more harmonic. No, because you're still in the nasally passage when you're singing. That's totally Blink 182.
Yeah.
But like Pete, when he sings, like I said, it's more melodic. So if you remember Immortals, he carries a tune much better. He's like, that was horrible.
I'm just gonna imagine him like I'm singing it because it's more fun.
I'm going to remove that from the episode. You know that, right?
Just take it out. Right? I'm just going to talk like this for the rest of the episode because am in like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. All right.
Okay. Hey, whatever works for you.
We should probably get off of music, or I'm going to be honest, because I just found that Robert Downey Jr. has an album from 2004. So
he does.
Interesting.
He does. Yes. I haven't heard it, but I found out that I have to hear it. Okay, I'm adding that to my Office playlist for after. Maybe. Okay, you know what? I have an idea. We'll talk about it after. All right, but let's continue with just stars and weird things that they go through.
Okay. Where is the segue going?
So, funny story. I was on TikTok and I follow Dan Povenmire. Dan Povenmire, famous for creating Phineas and Ferb and other shows for
Dr.
Disney as well.
Doofenshmirtz and all the
He
guys.
is the voice of Doofenshmirtz, yeah. So he's at Disneyland. He's writing Rise of the Resistance, and if there's one thing we know about Rise of the Resistance is that it is prone to failing at times, and so it constantly is shut down, and it upsets people, especially when they purchase Lightning Lane for stuff. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you another quick side story here. Larry, last Saturday, was at the parks, and the first thing, he normally broadcasts later on Saturdays, right? But he happened to be in the park early on that Saturday morning. And one of the first things that he decided to do was to go to Rise of the Resistance. And as he was in line, the emergency lights came on and the ride shut down before he was going to get on. So they got evacuated and they did give him a return pass, so he was able to go back later. But it happens frequently, right? It's one of those things that the attraction just sadly is prone to. So Dan Povenmire is on Rise of the Resistance, and he breaks down. And I think he breaks down in the scene right before you shoot over to Kylo Ren, if I remember correctly. So he's like, hey, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to call my friend to complain about this because, most people, a ride shuts down and you're taking video, you're taking pictures, you're posting it on social media, Instagram, TikTok. Oh, shut down, ride, we're stuck on X attraction, they're popular videos, right? And then you get evacuated and you get to see behind the scenes popular videos, obviously, on social media. Mm-hmm. So Dan Povenmire knows this. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to call my friend. And that's just all right, cool. Instead of making a video, he's just going to call his friend. His friend is Scott Trowbridge, who just happens to be the Imagineer that was in charge of the Star Wars stuff that went into the parks. We joke about calling Imagineers and calling Bobby and letting them know about stuff like that. But imagine being in a position or a situation where you're calling the guy, right? And you're like, hey, buddy, guess what? Your ride broke. Fix it. So they're joking with him to fix it. Should I just play the clip of him talking? Let's just play the clip. Let's play the clip. All right. So this is Dan Povenmire's TikTok where this all goes down.
So on Monday, the entire Phineas crew went to Disneyland together and had a great time. And we were riding Rise of the Resistance, and it broke down, which has never happened when I was on it.
Guys.
And so we're sitting there waiting, and we decide to call our friend Scott Trowbridge, who is the head Imagineer for all of the Star Wars stuff at Disneyland, and just complain that the ride was broken down.
The ride's down,
The ride broke. Scott, what are we doing about it?
What? We need you to fix it right now.
We've been sitting in here for 45 minutes.
Get on the horn and fix the ride.
That's perfect. I need you to
Tell that droid to fix the ride, Scott.
He's working.
He's on it? Okay.
Okay,
What
excellent.
you do all day, you just sit around and ride.
Somebody has to make them and somebody has to ride them. And that's how we divided the labor.
See if I can get everybody here to kind of get on it.
Hey, thanks,
That'd be
Scott.
great.
We appreciate it.
Get them there.
Keep your arms and legs inside.
Scott, I don't think you understand. We're the Resistance last hope.
Yes.
See, I'll tell them to make other plans.
If Scott had done his job just a little bit better, we would not be in this predicament. That's true. He should feel ashamed.
Again, imagine being in a situation where you just know the guy and you can just be like, yo, fix it.
I mean, not that he can do anything, but
Right, he's at home relaxing or something.
He's like, here's my droid. Here, we'll send this droid to go fix it. He's joking around with him and stuff. It's funny.
it was just a fun story. Again, most people will be in an attraction, and when they're in that situation, they'll post to social media or something. And he did post it to social media.
He did.
Right? He kept up with the trend, but he was loud, man. He's on FaceTime with Scott, and he's like, hey, we're on your attraction, and it shut down on us. Like, he's loud. Like, everyone on the attraction is laughing.
They were looking back,
they can hear the conversation, which I thought was the funniest part of what was going on. So I just want to say thanks, Dan, for the laugh. At that particular moment, I wasn't having the greatest of days, and I saw his TikTok, and it put a smile on my face, and it made me feel so much better. So that little incident, that's why I shared it on Discord, because I felt like, hey, maybe this will bring a smile to someone else's face as well.
He's a good one. He's a good follow on social media. He posts a lot, and he's funny, so he's a good follow.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a couple of other things that I wanted to talk about that happened in the park. I wanted to hear your thoughts on this. The first one is Oogie Boogie Bash tickets went on sale, and the site was like, not today, guys.
For reals.
Your thoughts on everything you heard, or maybe you heard a little bit more context or read more context about what was happening, but from what I saw originally, it was just that the site couldn't handle the traffic.
Yeah. I actually had a friend who was waiting for those tickets on Thursday, and she was, oh, poor thing. I was encouraging her, just having her, like, just telling her, hey, just hang in there, you know what? Just hang in there. She was hanging on for 9 hours. So I don't know exactly how long. Yeah. So I don't know how long she actually waited, because what happened was they had that crash, right? And basically Disney was like, we're going to pause. And we're going to try to figure out what to do. And then we'll get back to you. But they didn't kick anyone out of line. And just to see like the different screenshots and whatnot is just sad. Like, people were just close to giving up, and I don't blame them, because your anxiety will probably go up, and then FOMO, which is the worst thing, is like, it takes a hold of you, and you're just like, maybe you'll just, you know what, bye. And again, I don't blame them, but to hang on for that many hours, like, I honestly thought 6 was enough for me when I did that 1 year, 2 years ago, I think. Yeah. So pretty much if you got a ticket that day, you were lucky. Everybody else has to try again. And actually just a few days.
The 6th.
6, yeah. So, I would hate to be on the IT team right now, because I don't know if a week was good enough. But hey, you know what? Hopefully. Ouch.
Yeah.
It seems like they need to be outsourcing this to just another website. Like, whoever does, everybody says like the Comic-Con website is like rock solid. Like, maybe they should just like outsource to them and not have to deal with this all the time, because it's always something. Like, I was lucky enough to got tickets in the Magic Key the pre-sale day. And that was still like, I waited 4 hours after the line opened. I was on there for 5 hours just in the thing. But then like there was even issues on my end. Like, I still got the tickets and everything, but there was just like a lot of weird hiccups. Like I was logged in. It's like I logged in beforehand, all this stuff. And then I finally get the thing to click to buy tickets, and I click it, and then it like takes me to like a home screen. I'm like, what? So I like log in, and it takes me to another thing, and it has buy tickets, which was the first button I hit. And I was like, oh no, is this going to take me back into line? But it took me into the checkout area. And so I was able to pick my tickets and then put our names in, and then I click on, like, I put my payment information in there, and then it said error. I'm like, oh no. And so I do the whole thing again, and then the whole payment thing isn't there. So I have to like refresh the page. Like, it was just like the broken page, like icon. It was just that with a blank page. And then so I had to refresh the page again and put all the information in a third time. And that finally let me check out, and I got the tickets. And I was like, after like the first like thing where it like kicked me out and then I got back in and stuff, I was just like on edge the whole like 8 minutes I was doing the checking out. I'm like, what's gonna happen? I better get these tickets. I've been in line for 4 hours. I mean, granted, it was just sitting on my phone while I was at work, so I was like actively in line or anything, but it was still like, it's stressful, especially if it's like something that you want to attend, like, and you're waiting all day and anticipation and all that is like building, and then like it's like a gut punch if you don't get it or something goes wrong and it's out of your control. So, and I mean, Melissa, we had another mutual friend too in line too that I think at least took it a little better. Albert, he was also in line. And at least I think so. And saw the Oogie Boogie, the July 6th thing. So yeah, it's a whole hot mess. Hopefully all you folks out there that are wanting tickets that don't have them, they'll fix this and make it right. Yeah, I mean, they could just like my wife said, why don't they just add more days? Like, it'll take the stress off. I mean, it's it's a balancing act where they only do it 2 days a week, but whatever, do it 3 days a week. Who cares? Like, it's gonna make a money either way.
It is. Yeah, the demand is there.
I want to comment on that in particular, but before that, I want to comment on what you said about waiting, right? Because one, if you do have a desk job, it does make it a little bit easier because you're not running around, you're not, paying, you can see your phone or the device or whatever you happen to be in the queue in when you're trying to get these tickets. The really important thing to remember, regardless of what event you're trying to do, and this is specifically true for Disney, is don't close your browser. Do not close your browser or refresh it because they work on a session ID. And your session ID, if something breaks down, is kind of your place in line. And so that's how they remember where you are. And if you close your browser or go and open a new one and start a brand new session, you lose your place in line. It doesn't have to do with your computer or your browser specifically. It is the session ID you are assigned when you first hit the queue. So remember, if there's ever an issue, if you have the means of just hanging on, like, some of the people that you're describing, hang in there. Leave your browser open. Don't close the tab. Don't close the browser. Don't shut down your computer or anything, because that is what's going to allow you to purchase later. Second, I think this all boils down to they may just not have enough staff to cover it, right? You mentioned maybe getting like the Comic-Con people to do it for them, but that would require two things. One, an investment from Disney, which it seems like they just don't want to do right now. Or two, for Disney to admit they're wrong. They don't like to do that very often. They'd rather suffer through something and let people suffer because they know people are going to buy their stuff anyway. Right? Yeah. So, and we've all been through it. Like, I've been through it with D23 tickets. I've been through it with other stuff that I've purchased or, like, other events. So they just know people are going to be there to buy their stuff one way or another, right? So like this, I think is just one of those situations where maybe they just don't have the infrastructure on the back end to support it, either technologically or with like help, like actual people that are able to fix this or have the knowledge to fix something like this as quickly as they need it to be fixed sometimes. It's hard to say. We weren't there, and I'm sure we're not going to hear what happened unless somebody that works there decides to secretly post it on Reddit. Wink, wink. But other than that, we're never going to hear it, right? Disney will keep this under wraps. Either way, like you said, we're just hoping that whoever was trying to get them will be able to get them whenever they come back up. And it just seemed like it was a huge mess altogether. So, all right. Well, let's move on to some other stuff in the park. And I want to get indie specific now because I know both of you saw the film. I have some comments that I want to share with you both about this. We have some updates on Raiders March Mayhem in April, but in July, that we're going to share. But before we do, I do want to remind you that this episode of Podketeers is brought to you by a fantastic group of listeners known as the FGP Squad, our podcast Fairy Godparents, because it is their support that help make these episodes of Podketeers possible through their support on Patreon. If you want more information on how you can become part of the FGP Squad family, you can head on over to podketeers.com/FGP. There you will find some information about the FGP Squad, a link to our Patreon, and a list of some of our top contributors. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. You can send us a message on Facebook or Instagram. You can also message us on Discord. If you're not part of the community there, we would love to have you. Podketeers.com/links is where you would go to find not only an invite to the Discord, but also a link to the FGP Squad. On that page, you'll also find some other really useful links, like our latest episode, the Quizneyland playlist, links to our YouTube channel, Larry's YouTube channel, Goofy Guys Adventures, a couple of other things. If we ever have things for special events, like last year when we were doing fundraising for the Chalk Walk and Walk for Hope, we had our first Teamboat Willie pin. It was an enamel pin, which... You know what? I think we have just a handful of those left of the 100 that we created, and Chalk Walk is coming up again. So I'm going to have to find those, and we're going to have to start preparing for the Chalk Walk. So anyway, I'm veering off. Podketeers.com/links. You'll find some of the most commonly asked for links. And of course, to all of the members of the FGP Squad, we just want to send a huge thank you for your continued support. Okay, so do you want to give the update, Andrew, on where we stand with Raiders March Mayhem in April, but in July?
Sure. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and go over this. Looks like in our first matchup of I don't know, I think we called them Idol Indy and Punchin' Indy. We have Idol Indy coming out on top. In an upset, we have Staff Indy versus Swingin' Indy. Swingin' Indy is taking it. That's Indy from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull swinging, coming over top of the Indy holding the Staff of Ra.
Wow.
There we go. Yeah, surprisingly enough. In the matchup, number 7 and number 8, we have Doomed Indy versus Hangin' Indy, and that's Indy hanging. That's in the Last Crusade, where he's hanging on the side of the tank, and Hangin' Indy squeaks out there. Then on the other side of the bracket, number 9 and 10, Sad for Me. We have Bridge Indy versus No Ticket Indy.
No.
Bridge Indy overtakes No Ticket Indy, even though Andrew went on every single one of his Instagram accounts.
I voted for that too.
And voted for No Ticket Indy. I used 5 Instagram accounts and it still didn't win. So, yeah, that's maybe horrible. They're a little cheaty, but whatever. He still won, and it was still behind by the time I voted for all 5 of them. He was still behind, so I didn't feel bad doing it. Then our next matchup.
I will say, though, say before you give the final update here, because I think there's one more to update. But
we got 2.
I will say that, yeah. Okay, so we've had a really good response to this Indiana Jones bracket, and I'm sorry to tell you, but your 5 accounts would not have made a difference.
I know, it made me mad.
We've had like a really good response to this, and so it didn't even dent it, dude.
Wow.
I know, I had to try. Anyway, so we got 2 more coming up. We got I think this was Old Indy. This is Indy from the trailer of the Dial of Destiny versus I think this was called This Indy's on Fire is the name that I came up with this one.
This Indy's on fire.
Yes, it's Indy tied up with his dad when they're in the Nazi capture. They're tied up, and then he tries to burn the rope and light the whole room on fire. Anyway, that one overtakes. That one wins against the Dial of Destiny Indy. And our last matchup is a shooting Indy. It's just Indy on horseback versus Professor Henry Jones Jr. And Professor Henry Jones Jr. Takes it. The other matchup that is currently going on as we record this is We Are Going to Die Indy. And then I don't remember what I call this other one. It's Indy after he sees the guy do all the sword tricks before he shoots him. I'm hoping that We Are Going to Die Indy takes it from Temple of Doom, one of my favorite lines of all time, but we don't know yet. It's too early to call. And I think the other one that is going on right now is a Sleepin' Indy versus a Club Indy, Club Obi-Wan Indy in his white suit. So those we will find out tomorrow, but you'll know the results before we talk again next week. The whole bracket will be over, but some upsets, some surprises for me, but I'm pretty happy other than no ticket Indy, how things are shaking out so far.
So I just wanted to share some percentages here, because normally when we do March Mayhem, after a matchup is done, I'll post like an update with the percentages and stuff. But since we're running a couple a day right now, I just figured I would do a round one like graphic with all the indies that advanced, right? But I want to throw some percentages out for you because, like you said, some upsets, you'll understand where the upsets were, okay? So for Idol versus Punchin' Indy, Idol Indy won with 60%.
Wow.
For Doomed Indy versus Hanging Indy, Hangin' Indy won with 68%. For Staff Indy versus Swingin' Indy, 87% Swingin' Indy.
Wow.
Okay, 87.
Wow.
Let's see. Bridge Indy versus No Ticket Indy, 56%.
So close. That's pretty.
It was
pretty
close
on that one.
But all your votes sadly did not dent it enough.
Didn't make a dent.
Yeah.
Makes me feel less bad.
And then Gallopin' Indy versus Professor Henry Jones Jr., 58% for Professor Henry Jones Jr. I'm assuming that people just saw that picture of Harrison Ford and they were like, they were like, whoa, Indy, hello. And they just decided to vote on that one. And then Old Indy versus This Indy's on Fire, 70% for Indy on Fire. Versus Old Indy. Yeah. So, we got a couple more, like Andrew said. We're going to post an update image both on Instagram and over on Discord once we head into round 2. And by the end of this week, this will be over. So, like Andrew said, we'll be updating everyone next week. But, yeah, this has been fun. Mm-hmm. It was especially like for me. I want to comment on this after, but do we want to talk about Indiana Jones roaming around at Disneyland first before we get into it? Because I want to hear your thoughts on A Dial of Destiny, but my comments that I was about to say kind of have to do with the film, or the films rather. So should we jump into Indy at Disneyland first before we jump into movie stuff?
Yeah.
All right. Why not?
Thoughts on Indy walking around? We have our first look.
I'm just happy. I know Andrew. I know Andrew's gonna.
It's okay.
I know Andrew has words. I'm just happy, but I'm just. Why can't he just be roaming around every day? There's no makeup. I mean, I'm just happy he's roaming around. Yay. I'm not as picky, so I'm like, you know what? We got Indy in the park. That's pretty much more than what Disney has done for a while. So,
yeah.
Hey, you know what? Bring them back in, 2 years? I want to say, 2 years. Make them permanent. I don't know. Utilize them. Like I said, no makeup. Come on. He just has to put clothes on.
You just put clothes on. This
That's
is true.
It. Make it happen. So I'm happy that, you know what? I'm happy that the attraction is getting some love. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. Sorry, did I cut you off?
No, I was gonna say that was a little sarcasm, but hey, go ahead,
okay.
go.
So it's just a minor complaint. Like, I don't like. I agree with everything you have said. Like, I am happy that Indy is getting any love at all, and we have this, even though in theory temporary character coming, staying for a minute. I just feel like they could have done a better job of finding an indie guy. Like, this guy, no offense to this guy, and guy playing indie, if somebody knows the guy playing indie wants to come talk on the podcast, we'd be more than happy to have him. And no offense to this guy, but like in the movies, we never saw Indy at like 22 years old. Like, it just is kind of a little bizarre that they just found a guy. They're like, all right, well, here's the guy we have that also plays like Aladdin or something. I don't know. He plays one of the princes, and we'll just, all right, you grow some stubble, and you're Indy now. You have a small head and a big hat, and it's just not the Indy that what I'm looking for. And that, nothing's ever perfect at Disneyland. It's always close. And even like, I don't know, in the picture, but again, I have to see it in person. We'll see what happens. But he's like wearing the wrong shirt, which bothers me. Like, it's too yellow. And I'm sure there's some more purists than me that would have other nitpicky things. Like, sometimes Indiana Jones wears a tie and sometimes he doesn't. It's very confusing. But
that's right. Especially when he's in his professor.
Well, but even sometimes
he wears
in his
glasses.
But in his leather jacket, like in all the adventure gear, sometimes he'll just have a black tie on, and then he takes it off sometimes. Like, it's just like a thing that happens. But anyway, so these are just very minor complaints. I am nowhere in the realm of like, don't have this person playing Indy. I'd rather have any person playing Indy. Like, it could be a freaking like any person on the planet. It could be the person that plays Snow White is playing Indy, and at least somebody is Indy.
That would be fun.
I would be happy with anything, any kind of Indy representation in the park at all. So it's just I've unless they were like, I think my initial idea is kind of what happened is like, they just had somebody around already that was employed with some character, like, all right, who can do the best like gravelly voice or something, I don't know, and they got it to work. But wouldn't it be nice to have like beaten down older Indiana Jones? Like, Harrison Ford was like, I think like 38 or something when he first did the first Indiana Jones. Like, he was no spring chicken.
Right.
So if they're gonna have this young guy, they should have put him in this little like Boy Scout uniform and had young Indiana Jones, like River Phoenix or whatever Indiana Jones. But again, like I said, I don't want to like. I'm not trying to nitpick. I am trying to nitpick, but I'm not trying to like say anything. Anyway, that's my.
You're
2
trying
cents.
to nitpick, but not nitpick.
I'm trying to just like. I just want to save my stuff, but like, I don't want to affect anything. I just got opinions is all. Very opinionated.
Okay. 2 things. 1, what if Disney's like, okay, you're getting Dial of Destiny and you're getting super old Indy. In the parks, you're getting the adventures of young Indiana Jones. And so they're bringing this like super young guy to play Indiana Jones because they want to give you a balance between what you're getting right now. Huh? Mm-hmm. Huh? Make you feel better?
Fine. Like, it you know what? It's more Indy in the park, so it makes me feel better.
Or Theory 2.
Okay.
Theory 2. Tiana was just revealed in her Bayou Adventure gear this week.
Yeah.
The same week that young Indiana Jones debuts in the park. Coincidence? I think not. I think we're going to get Tiana's Bayou Adventure guest starring Dr. Henry Jones Jr., the young version. Da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, going down the bayou, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, bayou, da-da-da-da, going down the bayou, da-da-da.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
The remix we didn't know we needed.
So I just looked it up. I wanted to confirm some things. So the story of the Temple of the Forbidden Eye is set in 1935. Indiana Jones is born in 1899. So he'd be 36 years old at this point. If we're in the story of Temple of Forbidden Eye, and that's what we're trying to play against. So just putting that out there.
And how do we know that Princess and the Frog doesn't take place around the same time frame?
Well, I'll tell you right now, it takes place in the 1920s.
Yeah, I believe so.
So Indiana Jones would have been, so it's 21-year-old Indiana Jones. I guess that technically works out. But
check,
I don't.
Mate.
All right. Okay. I guess you're playing chess and I'm playing checkers over here. I don't know what's going on. But...
Look, I'm just trying to make connections between everything, but if we've learned anything from this conversation is that Tiana, SEA connection confirmed.
And how does it connect to Casey Jr.? He's got a smile again. Who cares? Okay, fine.
Who cares? Fine. All we know is that Tiana's part of the SEA now. Confirmed.
She gets all the dry goods, apparently. I think that's what... Isn't that what the ride is? Like Tiana's food company, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Casey Jr. has a smile again?
Yeah, that happened like 6 months ago, but I don't know. Yeah,
I had no idea.
Same here.
Okay, like quick thing, like in the 50s, like when Casey Jr. first opened, like with the park, he had a smile on his face. And then at some point, they painted over the smile. And then like 6 months ago, they put the smile back, and it was like a low-key thing. But Casey Jr. has a smile again. I don't know why we didn't cover this on the podcast, but he has a smile again. So Casey Jr. is a smiling little train thinking he can.
Well, all right. I just learned something. Brought to you by Andrew and Quizneyland.
Dun, 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 dun. That's not the Quizneyland song. I don't know. I was doing Indiana Jones.
Hey, do you want to hear the remix of Going Down the Bayou and Raiders March again?
And the Quizneyland theme? Oh, no.
And the Quizneyland theme?
Somebody could probably do it. Going Down the Bayou and Raiders March. We'll figure it out.
That would be so cool if somebody actually did it. Let's get DJ Cumberbund to do it.
I was just going to say, looking at you, DJ Cumberbund.
Make it happen.
And he'll add a little Macho Man in there, because that's his guy. He puts Macho Man in all his songs.
Cream of the crop.
Going down the bayou. Ooh, yeah. Going down.
There you go.
We're broken people.
We are.
Yep.
Hey, so Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny has been out now for several days. I know both of you went to go watch it. I've found a couple of things that, I will be honest with both of you, I'm kind of concerned, actually. One, as you know, I'm not really going to movie theaters yet, so I've relied a lot on drive-ins. And the drive-in that we were frequenting over the last couple of years originally had plans to close down multiple years ago, and then it just kind of stayed open for a while. But it's finally closed. It's being, completely leveled out because there's going to be a new business park and blah, 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 commerce, blah, blah, capitalism. Gotcha. But the nearest drive-ins are now very far from us. And so I've been trying to find a better way of watching them or anything closer because I don't know what I'm going to do about Haunted Mansion right now. I'm no joke. I'm like deeply concerned about what's going to happen for Haunted Mansion. And so, so I'm trying to figure something out. So if anybody out there listening has any suggestions, please, if you know of any drive-ins or any like screenings outdoor that are happening, please send them my way. I would greatly appreciate that. But I'm deeply concerned for Haunted Mansion. And the reason I was actively looking for a place to watch Dial of Destiny is because as we were compiling all of the info and images and everything for the special Raiders version of March Mayhem, I felt I was a little disconnected, to be honest, with the bracket and stuff like that, because I've talked on the podcast before about how I didn't grow up watching a lot of these films when most people watch them. A lot of these films like Star Wars and Indiana Jones and a lot of these films I watched much later in life. So I don't have these really deep connections to a lot of films that most people do. And at one point, I did go through the process of watching all the Indiana Jones movies because I owned them on DVD. I bought like the box set a long time ago thinking like, yeah, this is it. I'm finally going to, like, it's over. Like, I get to watch them all. And I was happy. And I didn't. I ended up watching them much later, like much more recently, actually, than way back then. But I've gotten into this habit over the last several years of playing things in the background while I'm working on stuff. And the problem with that is that I miss things. It doesn't connect with me. It's playing and I kind of remember certain things, but like I don't develop any type of connection with it. It's just noise, basically, right, in the background. And I realized that that's what happened with Indiana Jones. A lot of it I was just kind of playing. I wasn't paying attention when I last saw them. So I decided to marathon Indiana Jones films over the weekend. And I didn't tell either one of you because I wanted to surprise you both with this. I watched the first 4 films over the weekend.
Yeah.
Bravo.
I want to start off by saying, hot damn, I enjoyed them way more than I remembered. I basically put everything away. Like, it was just me and the iPad, and like it was in front of my face the whole time watching these films. And I wore headphones so that it wasn't just playing, so that I wouldn't get distracted as I was watching. I got up early and went to sleep late on purpose so that everyone was in bed and I could just sit there and enjoy these films.
Nice.
And damn it, I did. I enjoyed them so much more than I remembered the first time I watched them. A lot of the references that you made, Andrew, or the things that you talk about, like I remembered them, but there wasn't like a visceral, like, oh yeah, I remember that. And now I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, right? And I'm gonna say something that might surprise you both, and it might sound controversial to some people, but I enjoyed Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
It's not bad. I'm a Kingdom of the Crystal Skull apologist. Like, I think it's better than people give it credit for. Like, there is it seems so out of left field the where the storyline goes, but up until then, like, I think it has a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. So here's what I think I realized is, one, what I remembered from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull before was, one, Shia LaBeouf, right? And should I throw out a spoiler warning? Because I want to talk about kind of the ending, and I want to talk about it.
Sure.
Is it old enough?
I haven't
I
seen
have
the
to throw
movie
it out
from
anymore?
like 2000 and 10? When did that movie come out?
17, 15, whatever it was.
No.
2008.
Spoiler warning.
2008.
Okay.
Spoiler
if you
alert.
Haven't watched Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, here's the spoiler warning. So what I remembered is Shia LaBeouf, right? And at the time, I don't remember what was happening with Shia, that I just thought like, Shia again. And so it kind of almost instantly turned me off to the film. But like, I just remember watching it because like everybody I knew was watching it, and it was something that I wanted to be able to talk about. So I remember watching it. And what I vividly remember was the aliens, like at the end, right? Like, I remember the aliens and that scene and everything. And so growing up, again, this is something I've talked about before, like growing up, I loved all that stuff. I loved like the occult stories, the alien stories, like unsolved mysteries. And so having watched the other 3 films and growing a deeper appreciation for Indiana Jones, like, it was definitely like an indie movie because I knew the story of El Dorado. I grew up wanting to one day find El Dorado, right? I obviously didn't go off on adventures like Indiana Jones, but the fact that it was connected to that story for me already made it instantly interesting. So it did become disjointed because of how it was resolved and what the meaning of the crystal skulls were and everything. But all in all, like, I remember just making fun of this movie and thinking, like, this is garbage. Like, what is happening here? Because
the treasure was knowledge. That's why.
But, like, I saw it this time around, and there's a couple scenes that I'm like, okay, relax. Okay, whatever. But overall, like, on my tomato meter, like it's like an 87 to 89.
That's interesting.
I mean, that's what it's got on the regular tomato meter for the.
Oh, really?
Well, the audience score isn't so hot on that. It's got 53%, but 77% for King of the Crystal Skull, certified fresh King of the Crystal Skull. That kind of tells you. I read a synopsis on or an analyzation of why people kind of why Kingdom of the Crystal Skull did so well compared to what they're projecting Dial of Destiny to do, and they're saying because it was coming off the last Indiana Jones movie they remember that happened was The Last Crusade, which is a big hit, huge, great movie. And so they're like, it's Indiana Jones. Everybody went to see it opening weekend because it's Indiana Jones. The Last Crusade was great. This is going to be great. And then a lot of people were disappointed. And so when this movie is coming out, Dial of Destiny, the last movie that are in people's brains is King of the Crystal Skull, and a lot of people had a not great reaction to that for some reason. So people are hesitant to go see Indiana Jones: The Dial of Destiny. I mean, my other opinion of this is I just don't think, even though I love Indiana Jones and I think everybody should love Indiana Jones, I don't know if 17-year-olds want to see a 80-year-old man go on an adventure across the country or the world. I don't know how appealing that is to young people, and young people make up a lot of the audience that goes and sees movies, especially in theaters. So that's kind of a theory I'm ruminating in my brain right now.
I mean, I see your point, but I would be thinking if you go to Disneyland or Walt Disney World, you would be exposed to Indiana Jones one way or another. I would think that, sure, it's not a horror film. It's not like your typical movie that others would see. But if you go to, conventions, it's like not a niche fandom, but I think everybody would be introduced to Indiana Jones one way or another. But you did bring up a good point, though. And we'll come back to that when we talk about the movie.
Yeah. So did you have a favorite out of the four, Hazen? One that
good question.
that pulled you more than others? I have a
question too.
Controversial ranking in my ranking. I think I'm on my rewatches.
All right, let me see. I would say so it was Raiders and then Temple and Last Crusade, right? And then Crystal Skull. All right, so Crystal Skull, I'm gonna place last.
Agree.
Just because
agree with you.
Because it felt like even the resolution of Shia LaBeouf's character, I think was, I think it was kind of thrown in. It felt like a last minute addition to kind of help resolve some issues in the film with the character being there, but. I mean, it's a movie, right?
Right.
So I was okay enough with how they resolved Shia's character, but still solid fourth place for me.
Yep.
And then I would say in third place that's difficult. So this is hard because definitely Raiders is not my top. I know that might be controversial to some people because usually people are like, but the sequels aren't as good as the first one, right?
That's fine.
I think for me, from a connection standpoint, I love stories of the Knights Templar growing up. And Last Crusade has so much of that, and it has so much about, you know what I mean?
Just say it. There's no wrong answer here.
Okay, so Temple and Last Crusade are tie for first.
Okay.
Okay, so Temple and Last Crusade are tie for first, but if I had to inch one forward, it would be Temple. So first place Temple, second place Crusade, third place Raiders, fourth place Crystal Skull.
My rankings are somewhat similar to yours. My number one is The Last Crusade. then or then Temple of Doom, then Raiders of the Lost Ark. And these tier is like, these are all 100% amazing films in my book. So it's like, it's just kind of like picking your favorite child or whatever. But The Last Crusade is such a good movie. It is so funny. It has all of my favorite characters, and they all have a lot of business. And it's just, there's so much good stuff in it. Like, I can't tell you how funny. Like, I was rewatching The Last Crusade recently before we went and saw Dial of Destiny, and I was laughing out loud at some of the jokes and stuff that I had seen multiple times. But it's just like the part, Indy's like, all right. They're like, Brody has the book or whatever, and he's like, he's already got a 2-day head start. He knows 17 different languages. He has friends in every town. He'll be he's got a 2-day head start. He's gonna da-da-da. You'll never find him. He'll disappear and all this stuff. Yeah. And then it's like, boom, cut, and it's Brody wandering around in the city. Yeah. He's like, excuse me, does anybody speak English? What? And he's like, no, I don't want any dates, thank you. No thanks. Like, it's such a funny movie. Sala, I said no camels, that's 5 camels. Like, it's so
gotta
good.
Make up
Sean
for the car,
Connery,
right?
Yes, for his brother-in-law's car.
Brother-in-law's car.
So good. I could go all day on this.
But I will say, though, that like I said a bit ago, they're so tied for first place for me that I really think that if we had this conversation next week, something might trigger a memory from one of the films that I might put Crusade at my top spot. Because again, the story of the Holy Grail and the Knights Templar is one that I'm so familiar with, and I loved reading about that as a kid so much that's why it was hard for me to choose. But you can't go wrong with either one of those, right? Like, they're both so good. So I don't know. Maybe I want to change The Last Crusade as my first one for now. Yeah. But
it's so hard too, because like in The Last Crusade, like what's her name, Elsa, right?
Uh-huh.
Is that
yeah?
Like, is not a great character. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Elsa. Marion, 100% fantastic, best character, like one of the best characters. Like, if this was like a Marion, like if Marion was also in this movie, it would just make it another step above. But it makes sense. Like, she's like a triple agent or whatever. Just, it's all over the place. So Elsa, of the female partners to Indiana Jones is kind of down there at the bottom, but still, what it lacks in that, it makes up in just everything else. And Melissa, do you have a ranking? We have to.
Yeah, I want to hear.
Mine's ranking. Is simple. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm good.
In the order that they were released.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people's ranking too. Like, it's a lot of people's ranking. Raiders, like we said, Raiders of the Lost Ark is a perfect movie. Like, there's
just
like
music wise
to change.
Like, for me, music wise, each one just the first one, Raiders, has like, it's probably my favorite soundtrack. And then of course you have Temple, which has awesome music. 3, Last Crusade does have it. But I always go back to the first 2.
Yeah, it reuses a lot of stuff from the first 2, but you do get a lot of the Temple of the Forbidden Eye score comes from Last Crusade. Like, there's a lot of stuff
you're
from
right.
there. And that might be like why I'm so like a kid to it too. Who knows?
But here's the thing. But you know why I have it so high for me and why it's hard? Because again, I didn't connect with these films early in life like a lot of other people did. I connected with these films much later, and now reconnecting with them way later, right? Temple of Doom is so much Temple of the Forbidden Eye to me. Like, there's so many scenes that you could tell they were directly inspired by that film, that there's an additional connection to that one for me that's special because of the attraction in the park. Right, so I think that's why it was easier, because the storyline is the storyline. It's a good story, but of the 2, I think I connected more to the Knights Templar storyline, which is why Crusade was so high up there for me. But visually, and because of the connection to the attraction, that's why Temple was so hard to like place for me.
And it's got my one of my favorite lines. We are going to die. It's such a
sad face.
we're not sinking, we're crashing. Like, it's such a good like Willie Scott with how annoying she is. It's she's so funny. Like, that's like the whole point. And I could gush over all these movies for forever. We should do an indie casted. We can get our friend Ryan on, and it'll just be the three of us, and we'll just gush for 2 hours or something.
That would be fun to hear. That would be fun to hear.
Bananas. But do we want to get into the Dial of Destiny, or what do we want to do?
We do. But before we do, I want to pose the question for everyone listening. What is your preferred... We'll leave Dial of Destiny out because I know a lot of people may not have seen it yet. So of the original 4 Indiana Jones films, what's your preferred order? How do you rank them? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, which seems to be the most common, like Mel's choice. Or do you agree with me or Andrew, or what's your order? You know, who knows? You might like Crystal Skull more than anybody, like any other film. So let us know.
You really love Professor Oxley. Like, he's your favorite character or something.
So we'll post the question over on Instagram. You can also answer over on Discord. We'd love to hear your answers, and we'll share some of those on an upcoming episode. All right. Dial of Destiny. Before we get into great moments with Mr. Andrew to wrap up this podcast, I want to hear your thoughts on it, your reviews. Does it live up to the hype of being an Indiana Jones film? Am I wasting my time trying to find a drive-in to watch this in, or should I wait till it's on Disney Plus? Fill me in here.
You're not wasting your time. If you could see it, go see it. And the reason I say this is because when you guys were talking about Crystal Skull, I didn't get so Crystal Skull is the first indie movie I've seen like brand new in theaters. I didn't get the warm fuzzies when I saw Dial of Destiny. I didn't get this is the first indie film I'm seeing, in my life in theaters. I got that, but I didn't get it with Crystal Skull at all. There was like a disconnect, and I think that's why I'm like, nah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I felt bad walking out of that theater that day, like, oh, like that was it. Like we went from 1, 2, 3 it's just perfect, right? This one, Dial of Destiny, is a love letter to indie fans. And I say that because I will not say anything. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't, because I hope you get to see this. They took any criticism, any doubts, any worries. Ooh, real quickly. I'm just going to say this. This is my favorite Disney reboot, sequel, if that makes sense, because they've been doing live, all these movies coming out and stuff.
Of all the Star Wars and all the everything else that Disney has bought and done, this is the number one.
Yes.
Oh,
totally is. Like, they put heart, soul, they did their homework. They gave us exactly what an Indiana Jones film is supposed to be. It isn't like, oh, it's reminiscences or essence of indie. No. This is an indie film. And it's just, oh my gosh, I haven't felt like magical like that, like in a movie. Like it's such a different experience, I guess, for me, because, we're all huge fans here. So I didn't go with any expectations or anything. I was like, you know what? This has to be better than Crystal Skull. For me, it has to be. And I did have some worries. CGI is knocked out of the park. Like, bravo. Star Wars was done wrong. So CGI is perfect. John Williams, thank you, sir. Oh my gosh, thank you. Just the soundtrack, everything, the music is good. It's just I did not cry. Woo! I did not cry. It was just so action-packed that it's just, you're on an adventure. I mean, look, I'm gushing over this. Like, they delivered. Like, I'm so glad they did this for Indy and it wasn't just a regular reboot or whatever, blah, blah, blah. This was, yeah. Go spend your money. Go, go, go.
100% agree. I guess I'll give you my thoughts. I agree with everything you said, Melissa. When I go see movies, we always go see it in the the luxury recliner movie. Put your feet up and all this stuff. And it's movies a relaxing time and watching a movie, okay, whatever, sitting there chewing on the popcorn. This movie, I am like having visceral reactions to. I'm tensing up and I'm like sitting up in my seat and I'm adjusting and I'm like, it's like it did something for me. Like I was like all of the emotions were happening. I like was 100% invested in this movie. Like I was so mad at some of the things, like not because they did something wrong, but like because of how like characters are. Like I was just like, why would they do that? Like, why would this character do that to Indiana Jones? Like, don't you know who this is? Like, what are you doing? I was so like I'm having like an existential crisis in the middle of the movie. Like, why are you doing this? Da 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 da.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm like, what? I was so like tense and all this stuff. All the movie is making me feel all these feelings and like my body is having a reaction to a movie. Like it's definitely not like the best Indiana Jones movie. This is not the top 3, but it is still a great movie. Like it did so much, and seeing it in the movie theater it's just so worth it. Like it's so worth it. There's people that I didn't even I didn't realize Antonio Banderas was in this movie. I leaned over, I was like, to my wife, I was like, is that? And she was like, yes, Antonio Banderas. I'm like, okay, good. Like, and he's just like a character that's in the movie for like 15 minutes. And it's like, oh, of course it is. Like, this is Indiana Jones. Like, there's so much in this movie. And to bring up the CGI, like the best like application of like this like face replacement or whatever that I've ever seen. Like the trailer doesn't do it justice. It is like it goes past the uncanny valley. Like this isn't any of that, like the Mandalorian, it's not even like, this is head and shoulders above anything they did in the Mandalorian. It's so good. The only thing that threw it off for me is when he would talk, because they got Harrison Ford to do the lines, but it's like Indiana Jones, 30 years ago, but it's like, oh man, Harrison Ford, and he goes, oh. I was like, that's not the voice that comes out of that Indiana Jones face. And every once in a while he would say a line, he'd be like, Baz, or he'd say something, I'm like, there it is, like there's the voice I'm expecting, and you'd hear it. But anytime he wasn't talking and like the voice wasn't connecting with me, it was just seamless. It was so good. And it's like the first like 15-20 minutes of the movie is just that, and it's good, and it's a return to form with the Indy's favorite nemesis is Nazis, and I think that's another thing that was missing from Crystal Skull was they're like, all right, Russians, okay, we're gonna switch it to Russians. It's like, Nazis, like that's like the thing, like that's Indy's thing is Nazis, and so I think that's another kind of just thing that makes Kingdom of the Crystal Skull just feel a little less like an Indiana Jones movie, like less, similar to the others, which is, fine, but it's just one of those things. It's like, all right, here we go, Indiana Jones' old foe, Nazis. Nazis are bad, and everybody can agree that Nazis are bad, and so you can fight them and punch them in the face and things. So, yes, I agree with Melissa. Just go see this movie. I'm sure I'm going to go buy another ticket and see this again. I was already ready to buy another ticket right after we saw it. I kind of want to go see it in, like, the XD, like the huge screen or whatever, or IMAX or something. I don't know. But it's definitely worth your price of admission. I also we went to Cinemark, and I bought the Indiana Jones popcorn bucket and the Indiana Jones cup, the cup that has a little hat on it. So
that's cool.
I'm all in of the Dial of Destiny. We'll have to do like a full review of the film once you see it. And once everybody has a chance to see it, because there's so many things like to talk about. And, I do think the movie does take some weird turns. Like, I'm not like 100% on like this is the best movie ever made, but I'm 100% on this is a fun movie that you should go see. Like, if you just have no expectations and you just want to go for a fun movie that like doesn't take itself seriously, like this is a great movie to see. It's just a great summer movie. It did have me, like Melissa said, she didn't cry. Like, I was welling up at like the final scene. like surprise character at the end kind of thing. I was like, oh, what's going on? I'm like, oh no. And it's just kind of another thing where it just kind of like, I think it was more of the this is it, like this is the end kind of feeling. Like, we're not gonna get to see another one of these. And so it was just kind of like that kind of feeling. But Salah's in the movie, and he's got stuff to do, and I wish Salah had more stuff to do, but I understand that if Salah went along, he would probably not have made it through the rest of the movie based on how this movie went. So I'm kind of glad he stayed home. But yes, Salah's got some great lines, and one of them's in the trailer. It's great. I can't recommend it enough. Go see Dial of Destiny. It's fun. It's good.
I need this movie on Blu-ray.
It makes you feel things.
So you mentioned multiple things that at points I felt was going to answer my question, but I'm going to ask it anyway to both of you.
Okay.
James Mangold was the director for this film, and James Mangold has done several other films that I've really enjoyed. Like, he did Logan, Wolverine, Girl Interrupted, Identity, I think, was another film that he did. And like you said, this was a return to form, but I took that more as a return to form versus Crystal Skull because of the Russians versus Nazis and stuff like that situation. So I took it more like that between, for that situation. But my question is, even though it was a James Mangold directed film, did this feel like it was George Lucas and Steven Spielberg driven like the first three? Even though they weren't like Lucas wasn't involved or anything?
Yep.
They were executive producers.
Which means
it gave
they
you
just
the
got
feel.
Paid.
It totally brought you to the trilogy, and they did their homework. Pretty much, they did their homework, and they delivered a film. Actually, I didn't even know that I had no idea that he produced it or directed it. I wouldn't have known. It was like so out of the blue that I would have thought, oh, it was the original team. So there you go.
Yeah, it really does, like, they're really like able to kind of emulate that style of, I'm trying to remember the DP of the original trilogy, but like there was just so much like movement and warmth and things that in the original trilogy that you really do feel in this film. You know, the indie films, they have like a setup. Like they all have like a thing. It's like, here we start out, here's the first thing. Here's a relic we're on the search for. But this is not the relic we have some other relic that is not the main thing in the story. And then by other means of things, then we get to second relic of the thing. So Raiders of the Lost Ark, we have the fertility idol, then it's obviously the Ark. And then in Temple of Doom, we have Nurhachi, and that's kind of what we start out with, relic, and then we get into the Sankara stones, and then Last Crusade, it's the
Holy Grail.
Well, no, but what's the first the Holy Grail's the last one, but
the book?
Well, that's his book. It's the cross of because it's in the past. It's the young Indiana Jones is looking for the,
that's right.
He's got the cross that he stole from the other guy.
Yeah,
yes.
so that's
right?
So we have this another thing so another thing that kind of pulls the Crystal Skull out of that thing is it's Crystal Skull the whole time. Like, it's like, here we go, Indy's kidnapped, and we taking you to weird body, that's an alien body, and all this stuff, and it's all Crystal Skull. You just kind of throw out the first thing. And so this one has the first thing. Again, granted, like, it leads you into the second thing, but is the first thing still there? Like, the steps are there, and granted, like, maybe it's predictable, but it's kind of like putting on an old T-shirt, like
familiar.
It's familiar, like it's something you expect, and sometimes that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does that answer your question? I kind of went.
No, it totally does. It totally does. It totally does. And a lot of what you mentioned, it began to make sense to me as to why Crystal Skull felt so disjointed as you began to describe it. So I agree with you on that one. So, I mean, if this is a return to the first three, then I think I'm going to enjoy it. But again, not that I didn't enjoy Crystal Skull. I know that some people are like, what? I can never trust anything you say again, sort of thing, right? But overall, it wasn't a bad film. Okay, it was good enough that you can enjoy it as a film. But now that you both have said that it is more of a return to the first, like to the original trilogy, I feel like I'm more excited about finding a place to watch it now rather than just waiting for it to come on Disney Plus at some point. So
I wanted to bring up the DP of the original trilogy is named Douglas Solcombe. He died shortly after Last Crusade was done filming. I lied. He died in 2016. I just read it wrong. The last movie he ever worked on was the Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade as a cinematographer. Okay. And but he did all three of those, and that's what gives that visual style of Indiana Jones is him. Like he's the guy, and that's what they're emulating with using all that stuff. So I wanted to bring
one
that
more
up.
Thing. There's no extra scene, so just go home.
Oh yeah, no post credit scene unless you want to just sit there and listen to John Williams' music, which is great. Like over the credits, it's great. That's where I saw it says executive producer George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, and I think it even did say, like, I don't know if it said story by George. Like, I think George Lucas had a story credit on it too. I don't remember. But there was like some other stuff that I was like kind of surprised by. But just go see it, and then you'll find out.
Nice.
And for a movie that's 2 hours and 30 minutes plus, it went by fast.
Oh yeah, it holds your attention. Like, there's no like lag spots. And there's it was just a roller coaster of emotion. This movie. I did want to bring up the tomato scores because I brought them all up real quick. So because this movie is like, for some reason online has like a weird bad presence, but I don't know why. So like Raiders of the Lost Ark, great, perfect movie, has a 93% critic, 96% audience. Temple of Doom, 77% critic, 82% audience. Remember that, 82% Temple of Doom. Last Crusade, 84% critics, 94% audience. And then here we go. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, 77% fresh by critics on Rotten Tomatoes and 53% audience. And then we get over to Dial of Destiny, 69% from critics, 88% audience score. That is higher than Temple of Doom by a good 6 points.
Yep.
So the audiences are out. That's with 250,000 ratings. Oh no, hold on, I had that wrong. That is 10,000 ratings. I was looking at the the Last Crusade one. We had over 10,000 ratings. So audiences are enjoying this film. Critics seem to be, 69%. It's got a red tomato, so it's not certified fresh or anything, but the audiences are loving it. I'm hoping that this movie has long legs. It stays in theaters for a while. It has a good word of mouth, because I'm telling everybody I know, like, just go see it. Like, it is a good movie. If you've seen one Indiana Jones movie, you get the idea. Mm-hmm. Even if you haven't seen an Indiana Jones movie, like, I'm sure you'll get it. It'd probably help if you've at least seen one to kind of get the idea of what Indiana Jones is. But it's still just it's just a fun movie, and there's stuff, and it's fun.
Right on.
Fun. So go out there and buy tickets.
What my prediction was 132, wasn't it? That it was going to make over the weekend for opening, if I remember correctly. That's what I said last.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's made 60 million domestic as of the 2nd. We don't have the next couple of days.
Far off. But
box office worldwide 130.
Okay, maybe I can claim a victory then.
Yeah.
But they haven't counted. They're counting all the way past through the 4th, right? Or through the 5th or something like that?
They'll usually do the 5-day weekend, if with the 4th sometimes. But yeah, currently the 3-day is 60 million. I mean, it's been number one at the box office all 3 days. So, I mean, granted, there's not a ton out, like you were saying, but it's beaten Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, like, yeah. So, what can you say? I mean, for now,
all
but.
Right.
But we'll say, I mean, just go see it. Like, if you were on the edge of thinking about seeing it, like, you will not be disappointed.
Right on. All right. Well, more to come on that as we get updates, and hopefully I get a chance to watch it this week or maybe next weekend. That's the plan so far. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, if you have any suggestions about where I can go watch it, please message me. Post something either on Discord to share it with everyone. And I'm looking forward to it. So, all right. I think it's a good time to start wrapping up the episode. And as we've been doing a little tribute segment as Disney celebrates their 100 years of wonder. And we've had our own little historical reference segment with the great Mr. Andrew. And they are great moments with Mr. Andrew. This year covering, what years, Andrew?
1975 and 1976. I know I just went on a big, long Indiana Jones rant, but listen, you get to hear me talk a bunch more, because we do this every week.
But at least you're not doing it like this.
Oh, you made me... I forgot about it. I could do it like this
all
the time. 1975.
But now you sound like Casey Kasem.
Yeah.
Look, Batman, it's me, Robin. You know, Casey Kasem. I don't know. He did stuff. And he writes. Anyway, it's late. We're all punch drunk, I think. My face hurts from smiling so much talking about Indiana Jones. So we're just going to get into great moments with me, Mr. Andrew, years 1975, 1976. Let's get started with 1975 for the films in 1975. On February 24th, the Academy nominates the film The Island on Top of the World for an Oscar in the category Art Direction / Set Direction. They also nominate the film Winnie the Pooh and Tigger 2 for an Oscar in the category Short Films Animated. Films released this year: February 6th, The Strongest Man in the World; March 21st, Escape to Witch Mountain; July 1st, The Apple Dumpling Gang; July 9th, One of Our Dinosaurs is Missing; October 8th, The Best of Walt Disney's True Life Adventures; November 21st, The Scarecrow of Romney Marsh; and December 19th, Walt Disney's Holiday Festival. For TV in 1975, the Mickey Mouse Club show returns to TV in syndicated reruns, and NBC airs 11 episodes of The Wonderful World of Disney. For theme parks in 1975, on January 5th, Flight to the Moon closes at Disneyland. On January 15th, Space Mountain opens in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. Colonel James Irwin, pilot of the Apollo 15 lunar module, is the first rider of Space Mountain. Also the same day, the Carousel of Progress opens in the Magic Kingdom. Also in January, work begins on evaluating the economic aspects of the Disney theme park in Japan, or of a Disney theme park in Japan. On February 17th, the Walt Disney Story at Disneyland closes for remodeling. On March 15th, the revised film America the Beautiful opens at the Circle Vision 360 Theater in Walt Disney World. On March 21st, Mission to Mars opens in Tomorrowland at Disneyland. On March 22nd, the Lake Buena Vista Shopping Village opens in Florida. This will eventually become Disney Springs. On April 15th, Flight to the Moon closes at Walt Disney World. June 6th, America on Parade begins daily performances at Walt Disney World. On June 7th, Mission to Mars opens in Tomorrowland and Magic Kingdom. On June 12th, the Walt Disney Story featuring Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln opens in the Main Street Opera House at Disneyland. On June 14th, America on Parade begins at Disneyland. And on the same day, the Circle Vision 360 film America the Beautiful is revised to include a sequence including Philadelphia. On July 1st, the Wedway People Mover opens in Tomorrowland at Magic Kingdom. Also in July, Walt Disney Productions announces that is proceeding with plans to build Epcot in 1977. If you know anything about Epcot, that didn't happen. In October, Emperor Hirohito of Japan visits Disneyland. He is the first to ride a new private Victorian rail car added to the Disneyland Railroad called the Lily Bell. And on December 13th, Walt Disney Productions announces it will begin construction of Epcot in 1976 instead of 1977 as originally planned. That also didn't happen. Other notable events of 1975. On January 4th, the U.S. Forest Service issues an environmental impact report supporting Walt Disney Productions' plan to build a $35 million alpine skiing resort at the Mountain King Valley in Sierra Nevada, California. On April 1st, Elvis Presley closes his Las Vegas show with the Mickey Mouse March, sung in unison with the crowd. On October 4th, Imagineer Yale Gracie retires. And in December, the Museum of Modern Art in New York City shows the Disney studio film Mickey's Birthday Party, tracing development of Mickey Mouse from 1928 to 1975. Birthdays in 1975. We have January 5th, Bradley Cooper. February 22nd, Drew Barrymore. February 23rd, Robert Lopez. March 21st, Kristen Anderson Lopez. April 2nd, Pedro Pascal. May 9th, forgive me for screwing this up, Chris Diamantopoulos. That Mickey Mouse guy. Him.
Good job.
June 27th, Tobey Maguire. August 16th, Taika Waititi. And December 12th, Mayim Bialik. That brings us to 1976. Films released in 1976. We have February 5th, No Deposit, No Return. March 26th, Ride a Wild Pony. July 1st, Treasure of Matacumbe. July 7th, Gus. And December 17th, The Shaggy DA. For TV in 1976. On April 3rd, the TV special America on Parade airs. Also this year, the TV show Happy Birthday Donald Duck airs. And on December 6th, the Christmas in Disneyland special with Art Carney airs, featuring Sandy Duncan and Glenn Campbell. On September 5th, the Muppet Show premieres in syndication. And NBC airs 11 episodes of The Wonderful World of Disney and 5 All Disney Night at the Movies. For theme parks in 1976, on January 9th, the Disneyana shop opens on Main Street in Disneyland. Also in January, Dole Pineapple begins sponsoring the Enchanted Tiki Room. On March 2nd, Walt Disney World welcomes its 50 millionth guest, Susan Brummer. On June 20th, the River Country Water Park opens at Walt Disney World. On September 6th, America on Parade ends at Walt Disney World. It had completed more than 1,200 performances to a total audience of 25 million people. And on September 12th, America on Parade ends at Disneyland. In October, the Winnie the Pooh for President Day event is held at Disneyland. Also this year, Disneyland welcomes its 150 millionth guest. The Jungle Cruise at Disneyland is expanded with 7 new scenes and 31 figures, including gorillas in camp. And the Fantasy on Parade Christmas Parade makes its last run until 1980 at Disneyland. Other notable events of 1976. In the Tournament of Roses Parade in Pasadena, California, the Mouse-O-Rail debuts, a lead unit of the Mark II series monorail formerly used at Disneyland. On April 30th, one of the 9 old men and Disney legend, Milt Kahl, retires from the Disney Company. He worked on animation for 22 Disney short films and 24 feature films. Shortly thereafter, another of the 9 old men and Disney legend, Les Clark, retires from the Disney studio after working since 1927. Also this year, Card Walker assumes the role of Chief Executive Officer, appoints Ron Miller as head of film production at the studio, and proposes an idea for a European theme park. Also, a new office building at the Disney studio is named the Roy O. Disney Building. Birthdays for 1976, we have January 13th, Michael Pena. February 25th, Rashida Jones. March 22nd, Reese Witherspoon. April 18th, Melissa Joan Hart. April 20th, Joey Lawrence. July 9th, Fred Savage. July 15th, Gabriel Iglesias. July 19th, Benedict Cumberbatch. August 11th, Will Friedle. October 23rd, Ryan Reynolds. And November 29th, Chadwick Boseman. Deaths of 1976, we have February 13th, one of the 9 old men in Disney legend, John Lounsbury. March 30th, Imagineer and Disney legend, Richard Irvine. August 8th, Disney legend, Winston Hibbler. November 7th, a big musketeer, inventor of the Mickey ears, and Disney legend, Roy Williams. And December 20th, Disney legend, Ned Washington. So that has been great moments with me, Mr. Andrew, for the years 1975 and 1976.
Right on.
Awesome.
Well, I think it's a good place to end this episode. There was a lot more indie talk than I was expecting, but I wanted to surprise you both with my rewatch.
You did.
of the 4 first films as I prepare to watch the final one. So I'll keep you updated. I'm hoping to watch it by the time we record the next episode. And I was just thinking, Andrew, you said we should do like an episode where we dedicate to it. Maybe we could do with what we did with Doctor Strange, where for the FGP Squad over on Patreon, we just do a spoilerific episode where we just spoil the whole movie and talk about the whole thing, like we did for Doctor Strange.
Let's do it. I'm down. You just got to see it, and then we'll do it.
Yep.
If you have any thoughts on anything that we talked about, again, join us on Discord. It's the best place for us to have these conversations. But you can also comment over on Instagram and Facebook as well. We're gearing up to head over to TikTok. Our account is already created, so if you want to start following us, that would be fantastic. On YouTube, we are on the road to 500. That's our goal right now. We're at 420-something-ish, I believe. We're getting super close. If you can help us get to 500, that would be fantastic. Podketeers.com/links is where you will find some of the most common links, like we mentioned earlier. Latest episode, Disneyland playlist, links to our YouTube channel and Larry's channel, Goofy Guys Adventures. Of course, a link to the FGP Squad and an invite to Discord as well. More info on the Chalk Walk is coming soon. And that's it. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep moving forward, and always remember to pass on the magic. Have a fantastic week, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Part of the Podketeers Network.